Pei Jingyan is a proud and reckless man. In my previous life, he forsook his pride and knelt before me to save my life. Yet, I aimed a gun at him, the bullet chambered, poised to pierce his heart. It was only upon his death that I discovered the one who murdered my father was the childhood companion I had always sought to protect. Overcome with grief, I chose to accompany him as a pair of fated lovers in death. Suddenly, I opened my eyes and found myself back on the day he forcefully claimed me. This time I thought I would love him well. However, that day he did not come. In an unfinished building, I was captured by Pei Jingyan's enemies. When he finally arrived, his gaze was fierce, a gun aimed at them. Release her, and I may consider allowing you to leave with your lives. The once arrogant man now spoke with a slight tremor in his voice. The assailant gripped my hair, pressing the gun against my head. Lower your weapon, or I will end your woman's life. Pei Jingyan's hand clenched tightly around his gun, veins bulging, before he cast it aside. He bit down on his molars, his tone gradually becoming submissive. Use me in exchange for her freedom. Laughter echoed throughout the dilapidated building. Who would have thought our proud Lord Pei would bow for a woman? The man tightened his grip on my throat, threatening Pei Jingyan. How about this? Kneel before me, and I might consider releasing her. I thought to myself, a man of such pride could never kneel for me. Yet, to my astonishment, without a moment's hesitation, he began to lower himself. My eyes widened in shock, instinctively shaking my head. Don't! In that instant, as he knelt, I sprang to my feet. Caught off guard, I managed to wrest myself free through a series of struggles. He wrapped his arms around my waist, pulling me close. But they surrounded us, outnumbering us. He whispered reassuringly in my ear, "Do not worry, our people will arrive shortly." In the next moment, a gun was pressed against his chest. Su Yunyu. His eyes were filled with bewilderment, but all I felt was hatred. At that moment, Umo stepped forward. "Ah Yun, he is the one who killed your father. Take action. Only by avenging him can your father rest in peace." My hands trembled, tears brimming as I gazed at Pei Jingyan. "No, Su Yun, do not listen to his lies. How could I ever harm your father? Then tell me, on the night before my father died, did you not meet him for drinks?" I struggled to maintain my composure. "Yes, but I—" Before he could finish, Umo interrupted. "Enough, Pei Jingyan. You have always been a devil. You have caused Ah Yun's family to be shattered. You deserve to die. Ah Yun, hurry and understand." With my eyes closed, I made a resolute decision and pulled the trigger. Bang! The bullet struck his heart. He coughed blood, clutching his chest, yet he smiled as he raised a hand to caress my face. "In this lifetime, dying by your hand is without regret." Pei Jingyan has met his demise. His subordinates sought me out to absolve me of any wrongdoing and presented me with the will he had previously established. Master Pei had nothing and no one to cherish in this world until your appearance, Miss Su. He was acutely aware of his imminent mortality, which compelled him to draft this testament. Unexpectedly, the one who took his life was none other than you, Miss Su. The bitterness in his voice and the hatred in his gaze were unmistakable. On that fateful day, the police apprehended Umo, the true architect of my father's murder. Everything was orchestrated by him. I stared vacantly, tears cascading onto the will before me. "I am sorry. The one you owe an apology to is Pei Jingyan. I chose to donate the vast fortune he left behind, hoping to atone for my past actions and establish some merit in his name." Subsequently, I stood before his grave, confessing my transgressions, ultimately choosing to follow him into the afterlife. If there is a next life, I shall treat him with the utmost care. Suddenly, I awoke in a time when my parents were still alive. I was from an ordinary family. My mother was a teacher and my father a truck driver. My brother was a narcotics officer who lost his life during a mission. As for me, I am a physician. It was during Pei Jingyan's escape, when he desperately climbed through my window, that our fates intertwined. With bloodied hands, he covered my mouth, commanding silence. Only after the crowd below had dispersed did he release his grip, collapsing soon after. He was gravely injured and required immediate attention. As a doctor, I could not stand idly by. Thus, I saved him. When he awoke, I was at his bedside, resting my head on my hand. When I next opened my eyes, he had vanished. Thus began our acquaintance. "Mom, Dad," I called as I stepped out of my room, beholding them in the flesh. I could no longer hold back the tears welling in my eyes. "What is it? Did you sleep in?" I shook my head, expressing my hunger. My mother promptly went to the kitchen to prepare a meal for me. "Where's Dad?" "He went to buy groceries, saying he wanted to get you some fresh shrimp from the market." It felt as if I had returned to a home filled with love and simplicity. In this life, I would not allow you Mo to harm my family again. I glanced at the calendar. Today marked the day Pei Jingyan had forcefully taken me in my past life. In that previous existence, my act of saving him had ignited an infatuation within him. He would don a gang-like demeanor, trailed by a throng of followers. Claiming he was pursuing me, I told him, Pei Jingyan, I am already in love with someone and about to marry. Please let me be. That statement elicited his wrath for the first time. Without hesitation, he seized me, gripping my throat and whispering into my ear in a husky tone. Break up with him and come with me. His domineering nature knew no bounds. As he leaned in to kiss me, I turned away, his lips grazing my cheek. He was not angered by my evasion. Instead, he buried himself into my neck, murmuring, the more you resist, the more I am drawn to you. Pei Jingyan, have set my sights on. Tomorrow, I shall seek your parents' blessing for our union. Await my return. At that moment, I found myself pondering the depths of his madness. Today marks the day of his proposal, which is, in truth, a veiled threat. He brandishes my parents' livelihoods and Yumo's future as instruments of coercion. In a previous life, he forcibly brought me back to the Pei residence, yet hesitated to take further action. He proclaimed, I shall wait until the day you willingly give yourself to me. You will come to love me. His confidence was unwavering, imbued with an arrogance that was almost intoxicating. Indeed, I did fall for him in the end, only to be consumed by hatred thereafter. I resolved that in this lifetime, I shall love him genuinely. As I gazed longingly out the window, I wondered if Pei Jingyan would be elated to learn of my eagerness to accept his proposal. Yet, as dusk fell, he did not arrive. I checked the date repeatedly, confirming that it was indeed today. Was there an unforeseen mishap? If you do not come to see me, I shall take the initiative to visit you. I made my way to the establishment frequented by Pei Jingyan. In my past life, he had indeed engaged in many dubious dealings prior to our acquaintance. However, after meeting me, he embarked on a path of legitimate business, cleansing his reputation entirely. This venue was one he often visited to navigate the treacherous waters of social climbing. I recalled that in my previous life, he would always inform me of his whereabouts. Yet, I dismissed those messages as mere spam, unworthy of my attention. I strode directly to box 888, but upon witnessing the scene within, I halted. A voluptuous woman with curly hair sat upon Pei Jingyan's lap, feeding him fruit with a coy smile. Rumor had it that Master Pei was averse to women, yet my presence shattered that myth. Still, I was the only woman he ever acknowledged. Now he allowed women to perch upon him as they pleased, a notion I found utterly implausible. After all, there was once a reckless woman who had seduced him, climbing into his bed. Not only did he refrain from succumbing to her advances, but he also bound her, subjecting her to torment. In the end, that woman suffered a fate of broken limbs, rendered disabled for life. I pushed the door open and stepped inside, forcibly removing the woman from his lap. Who are you? She queried, her voice laced with displeasure. Ignoring her, I fixed my gaze upon Pei Jingyan. Did you not say you were here to propose? What is this? Is the illustrious Master Pei not a man of his word, or has he simply quailed? The room fell into an oppressive silence, as none dared to speak so boldly to the revered Master Pei. Pei Jingyan seized a glass from the table and took a deep swig, his countenance radiating defiance as he regarded me. I've grown weary of this. I've come to my senses. I am not beholden to you. His words dripped with contempt. A disobedient woman is better left alone. I was taken aback by the sudden shift in his demeanor, yet I found his declarations utterly unconvincing. Is that so? I have heard the courtesans at the Golden Horse Club are rather enticing. I shall not intrude upon Master Pei's revelry any longer. As I retreated a few steps, his expression darkened ominously. Through gritted teeth, he hissed, "You dare?" With a swift motion, he crushed the glass in his hand, shards slicing into his palm, blood cascading down. I rushed forward, prying his tightly clenched fist apart. Have you lost your mind? Who would harm themselves in such a manner? The man's eyes blazed crimson, his voice a husky whisper. Indeed, I am a madman. You still have time to leave. I disregarded his frantic utterances, gently grasping his hand to clear the shards from it. Afraid of causing him pain, I leaned in, softly blowing on the wound. In the next moment, he lifted me effortlessly. I afforded you the opportunity to depart. It is your own choice to remain. Then, before the onlookers, he hoisted me away as one might carry a sack of rice. Upon exiting the establishment, He unceremoniously tossed me into the car, without granting me a moment to react. He seized the back of my head and pressed his lips against mine with tempestuous fervor, especially as I did not resist, but instead wrapped my arms around his neck. He ardently claimed my breath. In a fit of frustration, he bit down on my lower lip. I pushed against his solid chest, discomfort rippling through me. At last, the kiss subsided. His chin rested on my shoulder, his tone tinged with humility. "Do not deceive me again. I truly cannot bear it." These words left me momentarily stunned. Tentatively, I cradled his face and pressed a gentle kiss to his lips. It wouldn't happen. In my previous life, I had been blinded by malevolence, which had robbed us of the chance to love each other fully. In this lifetime, I vowed not to cause him harm. His gaze was inscrutable, revealing little of his emotions. Yet, fatigue marked his features as he reclined against the back seat, instructing the driver, "Take us back to the Pei residence." He shut his eyes, dismissing me from his thoughts. The light cast upon his face illuminated a beauty I had previously overlooked in Pei Jingyan. Observing the furrow etched on his brow, I could not resist the urge to smooth it out. Suddenly, the man's eyes snapped open, and he seized my wrist with a firm grip. "What are you doing?" The pain caused my hand to retract slightly, yet he held it tightly. "Pei Jingyan, you're hurting me." Only then did he release my hand. I rubbed my wrist, reddened from his grasp, casting an annoyed glance out of the car window. I muttered, "Looking that handsome and not allowing others to see it. How petty." The man beside me tilted his head slightly, his deep-set eyes briefly meeting mine, yet he remained silent. Suddenly, my phone rang. I glanced at the screen to find the caller was UMO, a name that made my teeth itch with irritation. I ended the call, realizing Pei Jingyan was watching my phone screen intently. Surely, he did not misconstrue the situation? I cleverly entwined my arm with his, feigning a sulky demeanor. "Darling, he's harassing me." Upon hearing this term of endearment, I felt his body tremble slightly, as though it delighted him. Yet in the next instant, his gaze turned icy, and he captured my chin in a firm grip. "Then tell me, shall I break his limbs, or shall I pluck out his eyes?" In Jiangcheng, only Pei Jingyan could utter such ruthless words. I understood he was testing me. Though he had chosen to forsake those sordid paths, should he desire, he could easily revert. I leaned closer, wrapping my arms around his neck, whispering softly in his ear. "Anything is permissible, but it is best to let him suffer, to the point of wishing for death." Upon returning to the Pei residence, I felt a profound sense of disorientation. In the past, I regarded this place as a prison that confined me. Yet now, all I desire is to be the mistress of this household. "Brother, you're back," Pei Qianxue exclaimed as she hurried out, her expression shifting drastically the moment she noticed me, particularly as I held Pei Jingyan's hand. Her sweet smile instantly crumbled. "What are you doing here? Get out. Our family does not welcome you." Pei Qianxue, the younger sister of Pei Jingyan and the daughter of his stepmother, had consistently opposed me ever since my marriage to her brother. It was only later that I learned her animosity towards me stemmed not from prejudice, but from her aspirations for power. She was not the biological child of Pei Jingyan's father, which is a tale for another time. On one occasion, she attempted to drug Pei Jingyan in a bid to conceive his child and force me from my position. However, she underestimated the depth of his affection for me. Pei Jingyan seized her by the throat and hurled her from the room, subsequently retreating to the bathroom, submerging himself in cold water, and cutting his arm with a blade to remain lucid. By the time I arrived, the bathtub was a pool of crimson. Fortunately, he had the sense to avoid severing his major arteries. Upon seeing me, he lost all restraint and disregarded his injuries, throwing me onto the bed with a desperate plea. "I beg you, is it possible?" In that moment, I realized he was not entirely malevolent. He had undertaken numerous charitable acts in my name and had even shielded me from danger at a critical moment. After enduring so much together, I found myself beginning to harbor feelings for him. With a slight nod, he completely unraveled. One hand in his pocket, he grasped my hand with the other, his voice imbued with an intimidating authority. "Pei Qianxue, you have no right to speak in this household." Without casting her a single glance, Pei Jingyan took my hand and ascended the staircase. His audacity was intoxicating, and I found myself enamored. As soon as we entered the room, he pressed me against the door, our gazes locked for what felt like an eternity, as if he were searching for something within my eyes. Finally, in a husky voice, he asked, "Su Yun, what is it that you desire? You speak, and I shall provide. There is no need for such a manner." My fingertips rested against his chest as I rose onto my toes, whispering in his ear, "I want you." His ears flushed a deep crimson, yet he retreated a step, creating distance between us. I observed the movement of his Adam's apple, as though he were battling some internal struggle. "Pei Jingyan, let us go and register our marriage tomorrow." I understood the insecurity that plagued him, for the one he loved most had held a gun to his heart. He must harbor resentment towards me. Pei Jingyan had also been reborn. However, I did not wish for him to discover that I too had returned to life. It was difficult for me to confront him with the identity of one who had once sought to end his life. It would be far better to face him as the pure and untainted Su Yun of the present. Perhaps my selfishness was evident. I yearned for a fresh start with him. A flicker of astonishment crossed his features, but it was swiftly replaced by indifference as he opened the door. "Miss Su, I offer you one final opportunity. If I do not leave now, there will be no opportunity for escape." In my previous life, I was held captive by him for a time, employing the methods of a young mistress attempting to flee 99 times, only to be captured anew each time. During that period, my disdain for him was profound. How could one be so obsessive, so unhinged? I took 2 steps forward, and Pei Jingyan assumed I was about to depart. I caught a glimpse of his disappointed gaze. Yet in the next moment I grasped the doorknob, closed the door, and locked it securely. "Why should I leave? Do you not wish for me to stay?" I queried. "Or do you not want me to become your Mrs. Pei?" Pei Jingyan stood there, momentarily at a loss, as if he had not anticipated my actions. All restraint shattered in an instant. Without uttering a word, he encircled my slender waist and kissed me fervently. His strong hands enveloped me, as if trying to meld our very beings. Our passionate entanglement soon led us to the bed. At that moment, desire flickered in both our eyes. The man leaned down, biting open the buttons of my shirt, kissing my collarbone. "Even if I were to fall once more, I would accept it," he murmured, his voice trembling. Just as I was about to convey my feelings, he turned me over. Before long, the physical pain forced tears from my eyes. He gently nibbled on my earlobe. "Endure this for me." Yet, shortly thereafter, he began to kiss away my tears, soothing me as one would a child. There, I apologize. It was reckless of me. I promise it won't happen again." I bit his shoulder playfully. "If you're going to bite, aim for the vital spots. Don't make it feel like a mosquito bite." I grumbled. "I see you've developed quite the physique. From what I can tell, you're not particularly strong." He raised an eyebrow. I shot him an indignant glare. He relented. "Very well, I shall train you to improve your physical condition." I awoke to a tickling sensation. Upon opening my eyes, I found Pei Jingyan gazing at me with deep affection, his fingertips tracing the contours of my features. I smiled and wrapped my arms around his waist, burying my face in his solid chest. "Why are you awake so early?" Perhaps it was the early hour, but his voice was imbued with a mesmerizing quality. "I couldn't sleep. Everything feels unreal." Had he truly stayed awake all night? How profoundly insecure he must feel. Yet, I could not entirely blame him. I had wounded him deeply. Not only had I shot an arrow into his heart, but I had also stolen company secrets and handed them to UMO. He had searched extensively, yet never traced it back to me, placing his unconditioned trust in me. Even when I finally revealed my true self, he came to rescue me without hesitation, setting aside all pride and dignity. With our fingers intertwined, I pressed a passionate kiss against his lips. "Is this real enough for you now? If you still feel it's not, let us get up quickly and obtain our marriage certificate." When we finally received the certificate, Pei Jingyan held it as if it were the most precious treasure. After all, in my past life, I had been coerced into obtaining it against my will. Even the photograph on the marriage certificate was taken by Pei Jingyan, capturing me with a rather unpleasant expression. Upon receiving the certificate, I tore it to shreds without hesitation, and Pei Jingyan didn't even bother to examine it properly. "It's of no consequence. It's merely a piece of paper. Besides, you are now my woman," he remarked. Although he spoke nonchalantly, his irritation was evident. Presently, the marriage certificate rests in his possession, carefully tucked away in the pocket of his suit. How had I not realized before that a man's infatuation serves as his finest dowry? While we were en route, Pei Jingyan received a phone call. He gently rubbed his thumb against my hand, casting a complex gaze in my direction. "There's a banquet tonight. Will you accompany me?" "Of course, I am your missus." "Pay now," I replied. A smile crept onto his lips, unable to be suppressed, before he added, "UMO will also be attending." Upon hearing that name, memories of this individual resurfaced. UMO, I would ensure he suffers. He had wronged my family in the past, particularly my parents and my brother. Initially, I believed my mother succumbed to asthma. However, it was later revealed by Pei Jingyan's subordinates that UMO had caused her distress and had taken her medication. As for my father, he suffered a gunshot wound and was subsequently pushed off a cliff. How foolish I had been to protect this childhood friend, placing my unwavering trust in him, even deceiving me into believing Pei Jingyan was my father's nemesis. That wretched scoundrel deserved to dwell in the filth of the sewers. Husband, since I am now married to you, I will maintain a distance from other men. The world may be vast, but none are as significant as you. Everyone else pales in comparison, I declared. The man chuckled helplessly. Since when did your tongue become so sweet? I leaned closer. Why not taste it and see for yourself if it truly is sweet? The driver in front thought to himself, just pretend I am dead. Pei Jingyan first accompanied me back home, for such a monumental occasion as marriage necessitated an introduction to my parents. Sitting on the sofa, he clasped his hands around his knees, rubbing them incessantly. The usually composed and aloof Pei Jingyan displayed a hint of nervousness. My parents, upon receiving a substantial dowry, wore expressions of discontent. I do not approve of this marriage, my father stated firmly. I understood that my parents required time to adjust. The situation was indeed abrupt. Dad, please don't be like this. He treats me very well, I implored. Pei Jingyan glanced at me in surprise, not expecting such a defense. After all, his affection towards me was somewhat forced. No, we are an ordinary family and cannot accommodate such a grand figure. Do you even know who he is? He is involved in the underworld, a dangerous individual, my father insisted. At that moment, the man interjected, Dad, rest assured, I have washed my hands of that life. Everything I am involved in now is legitimate business. My father stood up in anger. Do not call me Dad. Even so, it is unacceptable. I only wish for my daughter to live a safe and happy life. Are you not aware of the many enemies you have made in the past? Pei Jingyan pressed his lips together, his gaze resolute. I will protect her. I believed him. Father, please do not be angry. I shall take responsibility for my choices. Moreover, we have already registered our marriage, and that fact is immutable. Ultimately, it was my mother who calmed my father's emotions, gently pulling him back from the brink. After exchanging a few words with Pei Jingyan, he reluctantly nodded in agreement. Following our meal, Pei Jingyan took my luggage and left the house. Curiosity piqued, I inquired, What did my father say to you just now? He feigned mystery, responding, That is a secret between me and your father-in-law. Oh, as if I didn't want to know. Come on, just tell me. He assisted me in opening the car door, playfully nudging me inside. You really want to know? I won't tell you. The door closed with a soft thud. Pei Jingyan. Upon arriving at the banquet venue, all eyes were drawn to Pei Jingyan as he exited the car. Bodyguards flanked him. Yet he walked to the other side, opening the door for a woman. The crowd was taken aback, curiosity piqued about the woman who could elicit such attentiveness from him. Well, that woman is me. I boldly placed my hand atop Pei Jingyan's, both to assert my claim and to let UMO witness it. As expected, not far away at the bar, he gripped his glass tightly, as if wishing to shatter it. In my previous life, I had asked him why he acted this way. He replied it was merely to possess me. It was then I understood the morbid nature of his feelings for me. Ah, if it isn't my dear brother. Is this your sister-in-law? A seemingly jaded man suddenly appeared, his gaze appraising me in a manner that made me uncomfortable. In my recollection, he had not existed in my previous life. But then again, I had little social interaction, leaving me unfamiliar with those around him. Pei Jingyan tightened his grip on my hand, his expression darkening. Leave, he commanded, leading me away from that place and into the dining area. Let's have something to eat. There's your favorite strawberry cake. I accepted the cake he offered, but couldn't help but ask, who is he? Pei Jingyan's brow furrowed slightly. He is my junior. Quite mad. In any case, in the future, keep your distance from him. Truly, it seems that madness runs in the brotherhood of disciples. I nodded thoughtfully while savoring the cake. Suddenly, he raised his hand, causing me to instinctively recoil. After a brief pause, he lowered his hand. You have cream on your lips. My wretched memories resurfaced. I had always shied away from his intimacy in my previous life. So, I leaned in closer, batting my eyelashes at him. Then you should clean it off for me. He delayed his action, and just as I was about to withdraw, he grasped my head, unexpectedly licking the cream from my lips. My face flushed crimson. What are you doing? There are so many people watching. He chuckled softly. licking his lips as if savoring a delightful memory. If it displeases you, my lady, I would not hesitate to gouge out their eyes. Although I recognized his jest, I couldn't help but pout slightly. I do not wish for such a ruthless husband. The man affectionately ruffled my hair. Pei Jingyan engaged in discussions of business matters during the social gathering, yet he held my hand throughout, pausing to inquire if I was bored. I will just step away for a moment. You carry on, I suggested, but he insisted on accompanying me. It was merely a trip to the restroom, and I declined. Unexpectedly, I encountered Umo there. Yun, what brings you here with him? I pulled my hand from his grasp, feeling a hint of distaste. Mr. Yu, I am now married to Jingyan. I ask you to maintain your decorum. He appeared somewhat dazed, taking a couple of steps back.
How could this be?
You used to despise him. A smile crept across my face. The mere mention of Pei Jingyan now filled me with unbidden joy. I felt immensely grateful to fate for granting me this second chance. That was in the past. Now I find him quite admirable. Umo clenched his fists, his eyes wide with disbelief. Impossible. You should still harbor resentment towards him. It was precisely due to his insidious machinations and my misplaced trust that I had momentarily lost my senses and made a grave mistake. No, I love him dearly. Without further entanglement, I turned to leave. This individual was perilous. I could not afford to linger in his presence. He resembled a rabid dog, unpredictable and ready to strike at any moment. Upon exiting, I found Pei Jingyan waiting at the door, a look of smug satisfaction on his face. Did you hear everything? He grasped my hand and nodded. Indeed, I heard my lady's heartfelt confession, albeit in the presence of another man. How had I not realized before that this man possessed an endearing charm? Shall I express my affection more openly in your presence from now on?
Yes.
That would be delightful, though I must admit I prefer to hear your declarations in our private quarters. Such audacious remarks. The host of the soiree summoned Pei Jingyan to discuss matters likely of a confidential nature, prompting me to release his hand. You go ahead. I shall wait here for you. He adjusted a few strands of my hair. If you need anything, just call. I nodded, assuring him of my comfort. Once he departed, I sipped champagne in a corner when one of Pei Jingyan's junior colleagues approached uninvited, seating himself beside me.
Sister-in-law.
Let us toast to my esteemed brother for choosing such a captivating woman. My expression soured immediately. Ignorance can be quite alarming. Do I truly appear so aged?
Such a term to describe me.
Huh. Your brother has forbidden me from conversing with you. Perhaps you should return to your merriment. I forced a smile. My dear husband was far superior, handsome, cultured, accomplished in both intellect and prowess, and quite prosperous, unlike the ostentatious young man before me, whose flamboyant attire was indeed an eyesore. You. He bristled momentarily. Then, he revealed a chilling smile. No wonder my brother has taken a liking to you. You possess quite the fiery spirit, which I find appealing. Previously, I considered Pei Jingyan to be an eccentric lunatic. However, upon reflection, he appears to be the most rational of them all. I had no desire to converse with him and chose to disregard his presence. Yet, he continued to chatter incessantly. How about this? I will offer you double the money and affection if you leave my brother and come with me. I frowned in disdain. Is this person truly a disciple of Pei Jingyan? He seems rather mentally unstable. Disciple, if you truly have nothing to do, perhaps you should find a factory job tightening screws. A few days of work might bring you back to your senses. Angered by my words, he attempted to retaliate against me. Just then, a hand seized him. Looking up, I was surprised to see Umo. At that moment, Pei Jingyan also emerged, delivering a kick to his disciple. If you dare to lay a finger on her again, do not blame me for disregarding our brotherhood. He then approached to check if I was unharmed, taking my hand as we prepared to leave. Thank you, Mr. Yu, for your care of my wife. Consider it a debt of gratitude. On the way home, I could not restrain myself from mentioning Umo to Pei Jingyan. Pei Jingyan. There are significant issues with both the projects and accounts at Umo's company. He raised an eyebrow, encouraging me to elaborate. He has intentions towards you. You should be cautious. He grasped my hand, gently rubbing it. Rest assured, there is no one in this world capable of bringing down your husband. Aside from you, I have no weaknesses. In that moment, warmth spread through my heart, and I felt a pang of guilt for my past actions towards him. Indeed, my husband is the best. However, I would like you to undertake a task. I leaned in and whispered something in his ear. He furrowed his brow, seemingly deep in thought. All right, leave it to me. Upon returning home, we were met by his stepmother and sister, seated on the sofa in the grand hall. Pei Jingyan ignored them, holding my hand as he intended to ascend the stairs.
Halt.
The man's footsteps came to a stop. Jingyan, how can you marry without consulting me on such a significant matter? Do you not regard me, the only elder of the Pei family? Pei Jingyan let out a cold snort. Do I need to regard you? Keeping you both in the Pei residence is already a concession to the old man's final wishes. I can expel you from the Pei family whenever I choose. It would be wise not to engage in any underhanded tactics against my wife, for you are well aware of my means. What can I say? The more I observe, the more I find my husband incredibly handsome. I feel utterly secure. However, he is also aware of the misdeeds this mother-daughter duo inflicted upon me in my previous life. They not only cast me out of the Pei family without a penny to my name but also left his stepmother crippled, resulting in a lifetime of dependency. I can only say that provoking Pei Jingyan is akin to striking steel. With such overt declarations from him, they would likely refrain from any drastic actions. Yet, I still prefer to avoid interaction with them to sidestep unnecessary intrigue. After returning to our room, I suggested to Pei Jingyan that we should consider living elsewhere. Look, we are married now, and soon we will have our own little family, complete with children. I do not wish for anyone else to be in my home. Upon hearing my longing, the man felt his heart soften. He indulgently replied, "Very well. Tomorrow we shall relocate to the villa in the western part of the city, where a field of flowers awaits. I believe you will find it delightful. In my previous life, I had heard that he originally intended to propose to me amidst that very flower field. Little did I expect, I nodded eagerly, filled with anticipation.
Now,
In order to fulfill my lady's wish for a complete family, it seems my lady must work a little harder. One day, as Pei Jingyan set off for work, I made my way to the police station, my brother's former place of employment. Director Liao, I suspect there is foul play surrounding my brother's death, and I hope you can provide our family with some answers. I harbored suspicions that UMO was involved in drugs, and that his close friend had uncovered this truth. In the ensuing chaos, my brother was shot dead. I had always believed it to be the work of a drug lord, only to discover it was UMO himself, who had hidden his intentions well. This revelation had been uncovered by Pei Jingyan in my past life, but he had yet to relay the information to me. It was conveyed through his subordinate. As for the evidence, I had been diligently searching for it in recent days, recalling the clues from memory and retrieving them one by one. I handed the dossier over to the police station. Rest assured, Comrade Xiao Su, if this matter proves true, we will ensure justice for Comrade Su and bring the culprits to justice. Thank you for the information and materials you provided. Please trust us. Before departing the police station, I caught sight of my brother's photograph on the wall of martyrs. Tears welled up uncontrollably. Brother, do not worry. Evildoers belong in hell, and you are a hero. Alas, I found myself kidnapped once more. My eyes were blindfolded.
who is it?
This time, I was certain it was not Pei Jingyan's enemies. Yomo, is it you? I sensed that my peculiar behavior this time had caught his attention. The cloth was lifted, and the blinding light made me squint. Sister-in-law, you guessed wrong. It is I, your junior.
What do you want?
I questioned, as he playfully tilted my chin. Do not be alarmed. I mean no harm. I simply wish to see just how much your senior truly loves you. Indeed, I was Pei Jingyan's Achilles heel. No matter who it was, they all sought to use me against him. Should I laugh or cry? Let me go. I assure you that your brother will not harm you. After all,
You should know him well.
he laughed heartily. Why should I always be overshadowed by him, even in acquiring such a beautiful woman? If Pei Jingyan were to learn that his woman had been tainted, do you think he would lose his sanity? I swallowed hard, feigning courage. It would be a lie to say I was unafraid, for I did not know this man well enough to gauge his madness. All I know is that he would kill you. Suddenly, another man stepped forward. Enough of the jesting. We have serious matters to attend to. Pei Jingyan's car is waiting downstairs. It was UMO. I glared at him. UMO, must you be so ruthless? UMO smiled, tugging at my hair, causing a sharp pain that contorted my entire face. Su Yun, you have gone too far, he declared. Today, it is either your demise or mine. You have been reborn as well, haven't you? Otherwise, your attitude towards me would not be so. What nonsense is this? How could all the protagonists have been reborn? Would history repeat itself? No, I shall not allow Pei Jingyan to perish. The door was violently kicked open. Release her. Pei Jingyan rushed in, his breath ragged and his forehead glistening with sweat. Oh, the protagonist arrives. The man sneered, his eyes a furious crimson, his tone irate. I said, let her go. No matter the circumstance, whenever I found myself in peril, he would invariably appear without hesitation. Sure, if you break your own leg, I might consider releasing this beauty. The junior disciple exclaimed eagerly. Pei Jingyan was rendered speechless. What the hell are you doing with him?
Fool.
Infuriated by the insult, the junior disciple began to jump in frustration. You insult me. Haven't you heard that the enemy of my enemy is my friend? Umo wrapped his arm around the junior disciple's shoulder. Indeed. Hurry and follow this young lad's advice, else I cannot guarantee what may befall your woman. As Pei Jingyan picked up the stick they had thrown, I shook my head vehemently. Pei Jingyan, if you dare to harm yourself today, I will abandon you. He paid no heed, raising the stick. Just as it was about to descend, the police burst in. Pei Jingyan rushed forward, untying my bonds and enveloping me in a tight embrace, which I reciprocated. Pei Jingyan, I was terrified. I feared for your life. I confessed, echoing the last words spoken in my previous life. Even if I were to die by your hand, I would have no regrets. I struck him lightly twice. I forbid you to die. Do you wish to leave me a widow? You scoundrel. Umo was apprehended, sentenced to death. His sins were numerous, and for the incident involving my brother alone, he deserved his fate. In a sea of flowers, adorned in a wedding gown and diamond ring, Pei Jingyan proposed to me. Miss Su, although I am tyrannical and my temperament is not the most amiable, I truly love you deeply and will spare no effort to treat you well. So, will you marry me? Tears welled in my eyes as I fervently nodded. I will.
The end.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and give a thumbs up for support. Until we meet again in the next story.